What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome everybody to Gogotalx, brought to you by GOGOTIX. I'm Malachi Johns, your host today. Our guest is Wiley B, the son of Chuck Brown, also vocalist for the Chuck Brown Band, and he runs the Chuck Brown Foundation as well. He seems to be having some difficulty getting on the stream here. So in the meantime, what's up, Black Passion, the Blend Show, everybody. So in the meantime, I wanted to, well, first of all, let everybody know on Instagram to head on over to gogotix.co. That way you can see the full interview. You'll see both sides of it. You'll get to see all the good information that I'm about to show you, which you will not be able to see on Instagram. So head over to gogotix.co, click watch on today's episode, and you'll be able to see both sides of the interview once we get started here with Wiley, once he gets his technical issues figured out. So in the meantime, I did want to let everybody know about something that I just launched called GOGOTX. And that is over at gogotix.co as well. Again, it's gogotix.co, not .com. So if you're going to .com, that's it's not going to take you where you need to go. So go to gogotix.co. I'm going to put it in the description or the comments in Instagram, and then pin it to the top. So please make sure to go over to gogotix.co so you can see the entire episode. If you watch on Instagram, you can watch on Instagram, but all you're going to see is my ugly face the whole time. So you want to see the whole interview, head over to gogotix.co. So as Wiley is getting things figured out, I want to tell you about GOGOTX. So this is sort of the way that I'm hoping people can support the show and keep us going on. So again, if you're on Instagram, you're not going to be able to see this. So make sure you head over to the website. Alternatively, you can also go to youtube.com/GOGOTIX. So we have, I've just launched some merch. So we have, technically it's called GoGo Tees. We have more than tees. We have some tees. We also have some sweatshirts here. So we have this GoGo AF, or GoGo as fuck, since I can cuss on here. This is the sweatshirt. It's a champion sweatshirt. So it's a very high quality sweatshirt. So these are available right now. The fulfillment times are a little bit extended, obviously, due to the coronavirus. But what's up, G Money? But you can still order them, and they still are being shipped. Also, we have the men's T-shirt, which comes in 6 colors, I think. Yeah. So if you're watching on gogotix.co or on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see this. So here's the white, we got the gray, we got the navy-ish, the green, yellow, gold. I'm sorry, it's not yellow, it's gold. Thanks to my man Brooks, who I think is on here. He got the gold one the other day, so that should be coming to you pretty soon. And then we got the red one as well. So those are the T-shirts. We also have a women's cut T-shirts, and again, these are all premium, high quality T-shirts. I don't do the Anvil Gildan. These are next level 3600 and 3900 T-shirts. So we got the pink, we got the white, and we got the gray for the women, and then we obviously have the champion sweatshirts as well. I think I just heard Wiley make it in, so let's head on over there. So if you want to support, if you are inclined to support, we appreciate you doing so. Head over to gogotix.co. Wiley, what's up, man? Thanks for making it in.
Yeah, man, I got it right.
You got it together? All right.
Yeah, I got it together.
All right, good deal, good deal, good deal. Okay, so everybody, again, it's on Instagram. Head on over to gogotix.co. With my man Wiley finally got in here. All you gotta do is just click the watch button on the website, and it'll take you right to the episode. You can also just go to youtube.com/GOGOTIX, and it'll take you right to the episode. So, thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you, Wiley. How you doing, man? Everything good?
Good, man. Good. I'm enjoying this time, man. I'm trying to take advantage of this time that we have. So
that's what's up, man. Well, I definitely need to figure out where you got them shades because I need some like that. I don't think I'm really cool enough to probably wear those, but I will give them. I'll give
man, I actually need to get some shit. Some glasses again, man, because it's getting to the point where I'm starting to feel like I'm getting like my dad, where a little sensitive to light. So,
really?
I'll be wearing them all the time now. So,
really? Is that why, I never knew that. Is that why he always wore shades on stage? Because
a lot of people they didn't know that. They thought it just came with who Chuck Brown was, but my father, his eyes, he had, his eyes always bothered him, and
really
for the longest he wore glasses, but then he started wearing shades because they were sensitive to light. So he always had like a sepia tone type of tint to his shades and stuff.
So I'm asking this from a selfish perspective because I've had to start wearing reading glasses recently, because I'm getting up there in age, and but also I've noticed that like my wife had a really good setup for me with this show where she had a ring light pointing at me when I first started doing it, and I noticed it made me feel kind of woozy a little bit after a while.
Yeah.
Does it just hurt?
No, man, it definitely would get to you over time, over a long period of time, especially like exposure to so many different lights, being on stage and stuff. It's totally different when it's right up on you.
So. Right, for sure. Yeah, and those lights are hot too. Gotcha. Well, cool, man. Well, all right. So give me the shades plug when you get a chance.
I got you.
I'm out here in California. It's sunshine and palm trees all the time. So shades are at a premium out here. You know what I mean? So,
man.
So why don't you give everybody sort of an introduction to who you are and your background in the music and entertainment business. I mean, you already alluded to who your father is, but why don't you tell the full story for everybody?
All right. Well, I'm Wiley Brown, Chuck Brown's son. I'm the youngest of four of us, and my sister KK, she the oldest. Some people already know her. I recently joined the band officially in 2016. It was a little after, I was completely done with football. Played football at Virginia Tech, me and my brother Nikos. I had hopes of going pro, but that was cut short due to a freak incident. Ever since then, man, I found myself back to the first love that I had, which is music. And now, I'm not only with the Chuck Brown band, but also I'm working on my own material now. I'm getting ready to, put my own stuff out there, as well as, I run the Chuck Brown Foundation along with my brother Nikos, but mainly I'm the main go-to guy for that. And, day job, PE teacher, athletic director. So
where you teach?
Kingsman Academy. It's in Northeast DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you're going back to your first passion, which was music. So what was your early, how did that manifest itself earlier in your life before football?
Man, when I was younger, man, I was always like the main one that would get pushed off on my parents. So like, it's kind of funny because, my parents, my father will always have like an interview or something that he'd have to do. And, he'd be like, all right, y'all, which one of y'all going with me? And all of my siblings, like simultaneously, they would be like, go ahead, Wiley. Like, go ahead, Wiley. Like, but that kind of grew into me, like, just naturally wanting to be around my dad, wanting to, you know, spend time with him and see exactly what it was that he would do on a daily basis.
So why wouldn't the other siblings want to go?
You know, it was just like the typical older sibling thing to do, where, you know, you push off the younger sibling on certain things that you didn't want to do. So
Right, but I mean, why wouldn't it? Like, why? Like to me, like shit. If my dad was Chuck Brown and he
it
was
was a
like,
normal,
go to the interview with me, I'd be like, me, I'm
it
going.
was a
What's up?
normal, it was a normal thing for them. You
Yeah,
know, me being younger, I ain't really realized who exactly my father was or what he was to people, not only in this area but all over the world. Until I was probably like 6 years old, and we, you know, we it was a normal thing for us to be riding my dad limo, but for other kids, they looking at us like, y'all get to do all this stuff, and for us, you know, he was just dad. You know what I mean? He was just daddy. You know, he very humble, laid back man, very cool, always joning though. He's always joking on us.
well,
Yeah, man. Always joning, always, you know, just fun loving. And you know, the day I realized, probably like 6 years old, we had a stop sign. I mean, we was at a stoplight, and you know, this guy's just like yelling outside of his door, like, hey Chuck, blah 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 blah. And I can't really understand what he's saying. I just see somebody look like they're going crazy, like the hell. So I'm looking like in my heart and my own little adrenaline was going during that time. Like, I'm ready to fight. I'm 6 years old. I'm ready to go. Like, oh, they want some problems. So
right.
get out the car, you know, real aggressive, get out the car. And my father get out the car. Next thing I know, it's like a whole mob of people around him just talking about old days, talking about, hey Chuck, give me one of them tapes. Chuck, let me get one of them tapes. So like, then I'm like what's going on? I'm confused as a kid. But then the more and more I started seeing like different stuff like that, and like my father at shows and how he interact with people after the shows, he always like give people a good ample amount of time. You know, I started to realize like, oh, okay, daddy an important man. So
Okay, gotcha. So you were at Virginia Tech and you were playing football, and then when did that? When did you graduate or get injured first? Which came first?
I graduated. I did graduate. The year that my father got sick. That's when, you know, I was dealing with graduating, but decided to come home during my senior season. You know, I was really up competing for a starting position, but you know, family came first. You know, was dealing with, you know, my mom had a breakdown, and my siblings, they asked me, you know, they know I got the best relationship with my mother, and they like, Wiley, like, what you gonna do? You gonna stay and play, or you gonna, you know, come home and help us with mom? So I came home. I graduated from home. I took like 3 classes and did an intern, and so I could graduate on time from Virginia Tech.
Oh wow.
Went back the next year. I went to the Division II school since my D1 clock ran out. Played my last year at West Virginia Wesleyan, and you know, even though I already had my degree and stuff, I just wanted to play my last year of football out, like finish it. So finished there, had an agent, went back to Virginia Tech, had a good pro day, was down in Florida, like living in Florida, training with like Brandon Marshall, Chad Johnson, Matt Forte, Jay Cutler, bunch of Pro Bowlers, and you know, was able to hang with them. Like if I'm, you know, I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, I'm good. I'm able to hang with the big dogs, so
Right.
I should be good. A little after that, I had a good pro day, 24 reps on bench. Had like a 37-inch vert. You know, broad jump, 10 feet. It was like a 10.5. I had good numbers, man. 40 was like 4.5. I had good numbers as a safety. Jaguars, Rams, and the Colts was looking at me and was thinking about bringing me in for camp. And probably like less than a week or 2 weeks before the draft, I was expected to be like 6th, 7th round or free agent pickup. Ended up getting attacked by a pit bull.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was the story. I thought you just
Yeah.
playing.
No, man, I got to talk about a pit bull. He bit me in like 3 or 4 different places.
Where was it?
A chunk bit out of my ankle. This was when I was living in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Had chunk bitten out of my ankle. I couldn't do nothing for a whole year. Try to get back. You know, I finally got cleared probably like 2 Decembers after that. But by that time, that window of opportunity was gone. So, you know, I really did some soul searching because it's like, man, like any athlete,
unintended soul searching.
yeah, any athlete would know. You know, once your sport is done, you got to figure out like, all right, who are you? Who are you?
Yeah, your identity is so closely tied to it. I bet.
Yeah. So, you know, it took me almost 2 years to get out of a funk that I was in, and you know, the crazy thing was that like even though I had to deal with that situation, it's almost like God was like really testing me. Like, all right, like okay, sweep this under your feet, and I'm gonna put you in this situation. So like, even though I got attacked by a pit bull and all, you know, everything that happened, both of my brothers was breeding dogs at the time. You know, they began to breed dogs. So it was like I couldn't get away from it even if I wanted to. So I had to, you know, just face it. You know what I mean? Like face my fears during that time. Get out of it, like work myself out of that. And you know, I did, man. It took a little time, but I did. I got back into, you know, education, and also, you know, just being around the band really helped me get out of that. Being around a band, you know, just falling back in love with, you know, music. It really like.
How did that happen? Like, how did that materialize? Like, just.
Oh well, it really started like after my dad passed. The band we were doing Chuck Brown Mondays at the Howard Theater.
Yep.
And man, like we had George Clinton, we had Stokely in mint condition, Raheem Devon, even Dwelle. We had a good number of people that would come through and like rock out with us, man. And like just seeing that and feeling that energy again, man, that's what really like kind of like wanted me to be like, you know what, I want to do this for real. Let me stop playing around. Right. So that's what really like made me want to, you know, join the band. And then like it took a little time for me to actually become a member of the band because for the longest, like being around my dad and like going to band rehearsals, going to different shows, I was always like, you know, more so a spectator. So, you know, I'll be around him, but it's not like, oh, I'm having the conversations with him or being able to, you know, just be in the band. And that took a little while, but over time, man, you know, like they accepted me and brought me in, and you know, now I'm one of the people in the band, and that's a big thing for me too.
So, at what point did everybody realize that on the mic you sound almost exactly like your dad? Like when did that happen? Did everybody? I want to know the story. Like, did people's jaws just drop on the floor?
Yeah, it was my first time seeing the real reaction from everyone. I don't think people really realize. More so like how Vince Carter put his arm in the rim, and people didn't really realize like, oh shit, he just put his arm in the rim. Like, you know, it was late reaction, but that it was a Chuck Brown Monday at the Howard Theater. And I'm in the crowd with my brother. DJ Rico is like right there. He's like, man, get on stage, man. Man, go ahead, get on stage. Rico is the one that told me to get on stage. So I get on stage and I start singing Chuck Baby with my sister KK. And I can see like the horn players is like, like what?
Is that Brad and Elijah and those
guys? I see Brad, Elijah, Greg Boyer. I see them all like looking like what is going on right now. So that it was more so like spot duty. Like every once in a while I would do that. And then when I decided I wanted to be in a band, I was doing I do like Chuck Baby. I might do Hoochie Coochie Man. And then you know, it would grow into like different songs. Like now I do like No Diggity. That's like one of my favorite. No Diggity. I'll even do a throwback and do like Friends by Houdini.
Yep.
Yeah, man. And like now it's getting to the point where, I'm starting to learn my voice. I'm starting to see like where I'm comfortable at. And I've even like grown to the point where I can do like different songs with my dad, but now not only with my dad, like different songs that I want to do as well. So like Your Game, I can do Your Game, like open up shows and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, man. So I'm starting to feel the groove where it's at.
That's what's up. That's so. But did KK already know though that you?
No,
Like
nobody know, man. Nobody knew. They knew that, I used to, when my father was here, he would let me like rap on stage every once in a while. And I like rap something that I like, or I rap something that I wrote. And he'd be like, let me let Wiley get on up on stage. And then I start like rapping. And it was more so like every once in a while, like, oh, okay, Wiley might get on stage and rap. But when I started doing my dad's song, that's what really like made everybody like, whoa.
So when Rico was telling you to get up on stage, he was just saying just go up there and rap something, but he wasn't prepared. He didn't know either. So nobody really knew that you basically could sound just like your dad.
And most likely it was more so, just me getting older and my voice starting to change and stuff. So during that time, nobody expected for me to sound, sound like that. Even my dad manager, it'd be some nights we'll have like a show. I'll do like probably like 4 songs in a row because Scooby might be like under the weather or something like that. So I'll make sure we finish the show strong. And Tom would be like, Wiley, you're freaking me out, man. And I'm like,
yeah.
He was like,
I didn't know. I hadn't heard the song. What was the song you did for the team?
Go Next.
Yeah, and I haven't even heard the song because I'm in LA. I've been in LA for 5 years, so I've been kind of sort of out of the blue. I mean, but then when you and I were talking about it, and I listened to it, I was like, I would have never known that was you. Like, I would have totally thought that was Chuck the whole time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I remember.
You grow up around it. It's easy for me to do it. Like out of my siblings, I'm the main one that my voice is like closer to my dad's. Like I look the most like him.
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah, you definitely. Especially with the shades on, it's gonna be a whole lot. And then now you just need to go too.
Yo, come on, man.
You straight. Yeah, so speaking of Tom, so I don't remember. I think maybe you were on with Bootsy Vegas on his show, or maybe it was something that you put on one of mine, or when you and I were talking. I don't remember, but you told me. Or you mentioned that Tom, really helped out your dad in his career on the business side. How so? Can you expand on that?
From what I know, because I was younger, I was always younger. From everything my dad would tell us and from what I would see, just the progression of him over time, like being able to kind of like reinvent himself, even though, the stuff that he would do was pretty much the same. He still would keep up with the times. Like my dad, he loved to keep younger people around him and, like just to keep that youth, that energy around him. So people in his band was always like, ended up always being like younger than him, even though, his age was his age. But with Tom in particular, man, Tom, he really helped my dad with, getting what he deserved as far as like, royalty type world, all of that stuff. So like, my dad with Bustin' Loose, man, back in the day, like he would mention that, he got gypped out of like 13 million back then. And, it's like, who can say how much 13 million was really worth back then? Compared to now, and Tom really did a great job of trying to recuperate whatever he could for Bustin' Loose, as well as like making sure paperwork and everything was in line for whatever else was to come. So like licensing for different commercials, you know, all the way up to like it would be times when my dad's stuff would be played. It was played during the finals with the Lakers and Magic, as well as the Lakers and the Celtics. Like you know, the Nationals using his song for, you know, the stadium. Every time they hit a home run, they might, you know, play Bustin' Loose, or, you know, even like Ellen DeGeneres or I can't say her name. Ellen. As well as like you know, different artists using my dad for like samples and stuff. Yeah, man, big time. Nelly, Pharrell.
Yep.
You know, there's tons of artists that
I never even realized until like a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know how I missed it, but that Paid Eric B and Rakim Paid in Full is a sample of
Ashley. Yeah.
I realized
Eric B, Rakim, like if you think about it, like my dad don't get I don't know if exactly how much he gets for certain stuff with Ashley's Roach Clip, but Ashley's Roach Clip is probably like the most sampled song in hip hop. Period.
Oh yeah, 100%. I knew it was sampled by a lot of stuff. I just didn't know it was sampled that particular song was. I just never even put two and two together. But
yeah, man, Run DMC. It's a bunch of people that, you know, have used my dad's stuff or came across it. Even down to one of my favorites, Master P.
Like, oh yeah, what did Master P? I didn't know that. What did Master P say?
It was off of Ashley's Roach Clip, the same as Run DMC did. With Run's House, whose house? Brown on. Yeah, that's the same as Master P's. Where the rib? Right here, over there. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Nelly's hot in here, man. Pharrell, big time lover of go-go, man. You know, he knows like the feel of it and everything. Him being not too far, you know, down 757 area, Virginia. So
right.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. So so when you were talking earlier about your dad wanting to keep younger people around him and keep that energy. Well, first of all, because you know your dad stole a band from me.
What? No way. Who? He always kept his ears low to the ground with whoever was the next up and coming like hot drummer, horn player, congo player. He knew about everything.
Man. I was managing this artist named David Corey. He was like an R&B pop artist, and what we were doing at the time was like a rock versus or rock meets R&B, sort of urban rock is what we were calling it. And my band was Ice on bass. Rest in peace. Ice was the actual first bass player in Mambo Sauce. You probably didn't know that. And Quick was on drums, and Marcus Young was on keys, and the guitar player was Anthony that played with Black Alley, the one with the long red hair. And I'm leaving one person out, and I can't remember who it is right now. We didn't have a percussion player, but so we were just getting started, just starting to get a nice groove, and then all of them were like, "Oh, sorry, Chuck called, we're out."
It's like getting a call. It's like getting a call from the Yankees in baseball. It's like, hey man,
I couldn't compete with that. But yeah, but keeping on with that theme about you know, keeping the young people around him. There's a famous clip of him getting on stage with T.O.B. and
I posted that joint.
And so what if you know what was his feeling on Bounce Beat? Because there's a lot of division of, is Bounce Beat go-go? Is it not go-go? My personal opinion is, of course it is. But my thing is, if Chuck says it is, then who the hell are you to say it isn't? You know?
Right.
So how did he feel about it?
Starting out, I will say that, you know, he was still, you know, no different than anybody else. Whenever something new comes along, you know, you're a little like somewhat trying to figure it out.
Yep.
So you know, he ain't really have anything negative to say about it. You know, he just, his only wishes were, you know, just a little more instrumentalism in it.
Right.
But you know, that's what they like. You let them rock out. So like you know, especially like with the energy that it brings, he did appreciate that. So like he's like, man, as long as they doing something, you know, as long as they doing something, it's and you know they move into it. It's still go-go. It might sound different to the typical old go-go head, but it's still go-go. It's no different than rap changing. You know, it's just a different form of the same thing, but it still came from the original stuff. It's just a different feel to it. My dad, he would ask me and my brother Nico, was like, all right, man, so what's hot right now? What the youngins is liking? What they liking, man? What's cool out there? And we keep them hip, like, oh, this is tight. This is what we listening to right now. This type of clothes we wearing right now, like everything. Like my father, he always appreciated the youth's opinion and as well as opinion as well as, you know, just the feel of what was going on. You know, he always wanted to keep his ears close to the ground. So he even like would use, you know, had quick like, hey man, let's do that bounce beat thing. Let's do some of that. And he would end some of his shows with doing a bounce beat, just paying homage to the younger generation, letting them know like, hey, I appreciate you. So that's all that should matter. And you know,
well, so
he didn't mind it at all, man. He actually
that bounce beat isn't go-go. You just heard it. Chuck Brown.
Yeah, man. Like he loved T.O.B. when he heard them. That's why he wanted to go rock out with him, man. I thought that was.
Did he say what it was about them that he liked?
It was just, you know, you could tell that, you know, they had their own feel. Like even though go-go is go-go, you can tell what band is what by who you hear. Like the people that know go-go, you know off the break, okay, that's Rare Essence. Okay, that's Backyard. Okay, that's Mambo Sauce. That's, you know, T.O.B. That's CCB. You know, you could tell who is who. And I think that was one of the first younger bands. He liked TCB, he liked CCB, but it was something about T.O.B. He was like, yeah, they younger. You know, they still during that time I think they was one of the younger bands that was out. But
they still are, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. Yeah, New Impressions is cool. I like them. Yeah, and like, man, you know, he was loving it. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do something with them, man. Let me kill all this noise that's going on between the older bands and the younger bands. So that's what he did, man.
Yeah, I wish more people now would pay attention because they're still arguing about it on these boards and stuff. And I'm like, man,
it really don't matter, man. At the end of the day, as long as we pushing the music forward, that's all that should matter, man.
Indeed.
That's my opinion, you know.
Indeed. That's a very good way to look at it. What would you think are like the three most important things you learn from your dad about, you know, like sustaining? Because first of all, it's incredibly difficult to become successful in the music industry in the first place.
Right.
It's even harder to keep that success going for a few years, and it's exponentially harder to keep that success going for as long as your dad did.
Right.
So clearly he had some things figured out. If there was anything, it doesn't have to be something that he told you necessarily, something that you just observed from watching him as well.
Right.
If there were like three things that you could say you took away from his success in the industry, what would you think they would be?
Well, first I would say passion and persistence, because if you're passionate about something and, you know, you love it enough, you care about what you put into it and what you're getting out of it. And if you're persistent enough, then success is going to come. Of course, you know, people got to pay their dues, but if you're persistent enough and you keep hammering at it, it's going to happen. Like I keep this my dad's plaque in my room with me. This one of his plaques. This from Bustin' Loose. My dad was 44. He was 44 years old when when Bustin' Loose hit off, and you know, and people don't know that. Like it took him.
Wait, he was 44 when Bustin' Loose hit?
Yeah, man. And when he decided that he wanted to play the guitar and stick with it, he was 24 years old when he got out of prison. 24 years old, he's like, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Of course, he had plenty of odd jobs like bricklayer, truck driver, you name it, taxi driver. My father did a lot of stuff, but he kept that guitar with him. He kept the music with him. So, like that reminds me every day, like, man, it ain't got no timeline on it. It's more so on you. And then
I just want to clarify. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I just want to clarify. So he was 24 years old when he decided that this was what he was going to focus on.
Yeah, he was 24 when he started learning the guitar.
Started learning the guitar, not even he knew how to play guitar before, but then he decided that he was going to be serious about it. He was 24 when he started learning how to play the guitar.
Yeah,
and then he was 44 when he had his first hit.
Yeah.
So 20 years.
20 years, man.
Okay. That's important.
20 years. Yeah. Like the crazy thing is, like, my dad's career, even though he had busting loose at 44, he progressed the older he got.
Yep.
And that's because he was always open to learning. Like, he never had a closed mind about anything. He was always open to learning something and, figuring out how he could put his own thing on it.
Right.
Some of the songs that my dad covered, like, people don't even know that it's like it come from like Duke Ellington or Louis Jordan with Run Joe. Like, people don't even know that because my father put so much of his own thing into it. It's like, what? That came from that? Are you serious? Yeah. So just being original, figuring out like what's your passion, being persistent, as well as like making sure you always put your best foot forward. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard my father's main saying, his main tagline, his main quote: "Whatever you do, big or small, do it well or don't do it at all."
Yeah.
And he instilled that in us. And I would think about that. Times when I might be half stepping on something, and it kind of like be in the back of my head, like, let me stop playing out here. Like, let me go ahead and do it. And my father, he was the type of guy. He's like, man, said, boy, you cut this grass, but you ain't do the edges. It's like putting on a nice suit with some bad shoes on, man. You gotta make sure you do it all the way, man. Whatever you do, big or small, do it well, or don't even do it at all. Like, we just like, all right. But hearing that over time, it will stick with you. So
how did he feel about the rest, like about a lot of the bands that came after him? Because I feel like, I mean, at the early stages, like, the level of professionalism was here. And then as the genre progressed, the level of professional, I mean, the level of, I want to separate the level of professionalism from the level of cultural significance. And I'm not saying that stuff was bad. I'm just saying that the level of professionalism went down. Did he ever make any comment on that, or have any, was he frustrated by that, or did he feel like the go-go community wasn't following his directive to do it well or don't do it at all?
When it came to that in particular, he was always open to giving his advice, or giving, even like extending time to certain people and letting them know, like, hey man, you really want to know something about the business, like, have a conversation with my manager Tom. And he would always offer himself when it came to that, but you can't do but so much for certain people. Like, when it comes to really doing that, like, that's when
water, but you can't.
Yeah, there you go. It got to that point where you can lead the person to the water, but you can't really make them like internalize and retain that information and actually put it to work. So like, he loved the fact that, people were willing to follow and do their own thing with go-go. He thought that was cool. At first, he would talk about, he's like, man, they stealing my sound, man. What's going on?
For real?
Yeah, but then it got to a point where it was like, people more so looked up to him. They looked up to him not only as as a mentor, but even as a father figure. People who are closer to my dad, they don't call him Chuck. They don't call him Chuck Brown or Mr. Brown. None of that. They say Pops.
Pops. Yep.
Pops.
Yep.
And me even like being his child, I had to realize like, oh, he's more of a father figure than just me. Like he's more so like Pops to everybody. Right. So that is something I had to learn early on. Like, you know what, daddy's gonna be there for a lot of people because so many people looked up to him and respected him.
Well, I would tell you that one of the highlights of my entire life was I was disappointed because I talked to Tom and I asked him if we could Chuck in the Welcome to DC video at the end. Yeah. We went and shot him in his limo in the driveway in Waldorf, and I wasn't able to make it for some reason, and I don't remember why I wasn't able to make it. But I got a voicemail from your father a few days later that called me, thanking me for letting him be in the video, and my entire mind was blown. I was first of all, I was totally starstruck. I was like, I cannot believe that Chuck Brown just called my phone. And then first I was pissed that I didn't get to meet him when I was there. And then I was pissed that I missed his call because I don't miss call. I'm not the type of person that doesn't answer my phone. And the phone must have been in the other room or something like that. I'm like, how the hell do you miss that phone call? And then I literally saved that message on my phone for so long. And then for some reason, when I was, I upgrade a phone or whatever. And one time when I was upgrading the stuff didn't download right or didn't transfer over to the new phone or something, and I lost it. And I was because in the same way that you keep that plaque behind you, I kept that on my voicemail as inspiration for me. You know what I mean? To be like, Chuck Brown liked what I was doing. That meant I was on the right path. You know what I mean?
Definitely, man. He really liked what y'all was doing, man, because he felt like I would hear this from him. He was like, yeah, they ready for a big time. They need to keep on at it, man. They on the right track. And I'll just be like, I remember I was in prep school when Welcome to DC came out. I was at Fork Union Military Academy. And one of my teammates, his cousin was in the band. I'm not sure exactly who. I think it was it might have been the guitar player.
Drew.
But yeah.
Well, he was to clear it up. That's me playing guitar on Welcome to DC. Okay. But Drew was in the video because I had fired him because he went on tour with Maya and he left me hanging 2 days before a show, and I had to learn all the songs and put an amplifier on my credit card 2 days before this show that we played in Baltimore. And then he was gone all the way until Welcome to DC came out. And then he realized that things were going well. Then he went back in the band. So I let him back in the band, and he was in the
That's understandable, man. That's understandable. But yeah, man, I remember hearing it and coming home and like playing it for my father. I was like, Daddy, like, this is tight. Like, listen to this. And he was like, "Oh, who this hot young man that's out there?"
That's what's up.
So he was loving it, man. Y'all definitely had the formula. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, musically for sure. There were a lot of, and that's part of the reason why I started this series too, is because they're just, even though I was very clear, and I don't want to make it seem like I didn't do anything wrong, because I certainly made mistakes along the way as well. But even though I made it very clear to the band from the very beginning that this band was being run like a rock band and not like a go-go band, because the way they do it is very different. Rock bands don't really just pay themselves every single night. When they play the shows, they put the money back into the project until they can build it up. Right. And even though I was very clear for years, because I started putting Mama Sauce together in 2003, we didn't have the first hit with Miracles until 2007. So that was 4 years of putting it together. And then Welcome to DC didn't hit until 2008. So that was 5 years of steady, constant of me quitting 2 different jobs, one at Coca-Cola and one at WPGC, so that I could focus on Mama Sauce and not really having a plan for how I was going to make money or any of that. And so I'm sorry, I got distracted by somebody on Instagram. So even though I was very clear the whole time about how it was working, what the goal was, that it was not to play 3 or 4 times a week in DC. It was to be, headlining festivals and having MTV videos, because MTV was still a thing. Still,
Right.
towards the end, the mentality of the sort of local go-go scene had become so prevalent and so ingrained in people's brains that they it just was it just didn't. They started getting in clubs for free, and they thought they were Jay-Z already, and they start like the people started knowing who they were when they didn't know who they were before, and it was like, oh, we made it, because for go-go, that is making it, but that wasn't what we were trying to do. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that you said we had the formula. Formula was there and was almost ready, but the mindset still wasn't there. And so that's really what this series is about, is trying to get out what that mindset is. And that's why, was asking all these questions about your father, because your father clearly had that mindset. You know what I mean? And in the short conversation that I had with you about your stuff, you have that mindset too. There's the DC celebrity thing is a powerful drug. You know what I mean? And it has been, and not even just the celebrity thing, but the money, the quick money that you can make, cover songs, and
it's consistent.
Yeah, it's instant, and it's incredibly addictive. And the fact that your father is really, and a few select others are really the only ones that have had any success in pushing it out to such, to a larger fan base, that they don't have the examples in front of them, like a rapper in Atlanta or a rapper in New York, or whatever, or R&B singer or whatever in London or whatever has. They don't have those peers to be able to say, we can do it too. You know what I mean? And so the formula, I just wanted to, clarify that the formula is more than just about the music. It's also about the business and the mindset. And the mindset is very, very important. And I'm hoping that throughout this series, talking to people within GoGo and talking to people that are outside of GoGo and in the industry, but that have an affinity for GoGo, can just hopefully help some of the younger generation to understand that the mindset of how you go into this and what your expectations are, and what it's necessary, like I was saying earlier, to even become successful, much less stay successful for a short period of time, much less for a long period of time, is very different. It's a very different strategy than just being hot in DC playing cover songs. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I kind of look at it, me personally, I look at it like I compare it to just put no different than how I had to pay my dues with football, like putting in extra workouts, or doing certain stuff that you really don't even want to do, like mentally, like I don't feel like doing this, but at the end of the day, it's going to help some way or another. I think that something like that will slowly, gradually change the mindset of majority of people that are within the go-go community. Like, you see what we have right now, this whole moment, the Don't Mute DC, like the spotlight is on us right now, and it's up to us, to take advantage and continue to push the music forward. So I want to, commend everyone for stepping up and actually wanting to, do more, and actually putting the work in to start to do more, putting their own music out. The New Impression, CCB, it's a bunch of people, Kim and Scooby, they're doing a great job with what they got going on as well. Like, even, RE and Sugarbed doing his thing, it's so many people, they starting to realize, like, okay, now is our time. We need to start to put the work in, put more music out, and just, try to grow from this moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what was your mom into music too? Like, how did she affect your sort of, or did she have any input on the musical journey that you've been on?
You talking about my mom?
Yeah.
My mother?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's always been supportive. a lot of people don't even know that, you know, like probably half of my father's songs that he wrote, the last 3 albums, my mother wrote those, man.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, man, they were a team, man. They really like she'll like come up with the whole, you know, like the format of the song, and my father would like arrange it to the point where it's like, all right, this go here, this go here. It was real cool to see them actually like work together on stuff, man. You know, just having that bond. You know,
Yo,
like even now, like if I'll like write something and I might like say it to my brother, I'm like, what you think about this? You know, like my brother, he kind of do the same thing my dad would do. Like he's like a scientist when it comes to like arranging
arranging.
lyrics or, you know, coming up with stuff. And, you know, my mom the same way, but you know, they're big time supportive, man. So
That's dope. Well,
yeah, man.
so let's let that segue into what you're working on now. So tell me about, because you sent me some records the other day.
Mhm.
You got a project that you're working on. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, man. So I'm working on my own thing right now. Want to get to, you know, at least 14 to where I'll be able to put 2 of them out.
Mhm.
Um, right now, I'm probably like halfway through the first one.
Mhm.
Uh, and also, you know, working on music for the band. So that's really like the main thing I'm doing right now. We're working on a song currently right now, man, and know the people gonna love it, man, and hopefully they, you know, grab onto it. Especially with me, like, you know, more so coming more into my own and having a feel for like who I am personally with
Mhm.
my voice and what I got going on. So
Right.
I think I'm excited about everything I'm doing, man. You know, I can't wait until, you know, that time is right for me to put it out, man. Because I just like you know, I got a little buzz from the Go Nat song. You know, a lot of people, they did not know that, you know, that was me.
Right.
That's me on there, man. You know, I came up with that. Me, Tom, and, you know, my brother, as well as Roy Battle from RE. You know,
Mhm.
good dude, man, real good dude. Shout
Yep.
out to Roy.
Roy's been
Um,
doing some stuff for a long time.
yeah, man. Shout out to Roy, man. He did a great job on that, helping us put that Nats thing together.
Mhm.
And it was real cool. It felt good for me to get back in the studio. And you know, for the first time, like for me, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
it'll be other times where, you know, I'll be in the studio. I did a song or two with the Chuck Brown band, and you know, that was different. There would be times where my dad would let me in the studio. He might let me rap a little bit, but this was more so, you know, on like me more so coming out into my own. So like the more I'm doing it, the more I'm writing, the more I'm putting music together. I'm also like, you know, working on putting together a small band myself. And you know, so I could, you know, put the work in and travel more, and you know, tapping into those major cities that really don't know go-go, but they're curious about it.
Right.
So, you know, we already have a good following in New Orleans, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. It's a good number of people that love go-go in Georgia, as
Yep.
well as, you know, Miami. You know, we got Miami Takeover, but instead of it being just spurts, I'm you know what I mean, I'm more so ready to, you know, tackle it and go right at it. So even Philly, man, you know, Philly love us too.
Yep.
So tapping into those major places that already know about us, and then going and venturing into, you know, New York, Chicago, other places as well.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, the main thing is, and I think I sort of touched on this with TJ from New Impressions yesterday. The main thing is to create music that people in those places who didn't grow up with go-go the way it is,
Hmm.
you know, are able to sort of like understand. You know what I mean? Because from the live perspective, go the beat is the cheat code. It doesn't matter where you play it. I've seen go play. It doesn't matter where you play it, what genre, whatever. People are gonna go crazy when that beat drops.
Yeah, man, it's contagious. It's nothing like it.
Yeah,
It's literally nothing like go-go in this world. When you think
exactly.
about it, when you really think about it, like that's part of the reason why the people that are within GoGo, you know, they're okay with being just here because they know the responses they're going to get. They know that that 300 people crowd is going to show up every time. Like
Yep.
each band got their own following. Like they know there's nothing like GoGo. But you know, when it comes to venturing out, you know, it's more so mindset might be, you know, like, well, if they ain't rocking with us, they know where they can get it. But you know, it don't necessarily have to be that way.
No.
So,
Well, I mean, so it's one creative thing, which is figure out how to record it so that it's not. I mean, there's this mentality that whenever you go in the studio to do go-go, it's going to be watered down, and that's not always the case. Is it frequently? Yes. But that doesn't mean it always is, and it doesn't mean it always will be. So just figure out how to do it where it's still authentic, and it also has a structure that somebody in Chicago or Peoria, Illinois, or Sacramento, California will still understand it, and and then also to be realistic about, just like you were talking about earlier with the paying your dues playing the football. If you go into a new city, and I harp on this all the time throughout all these episodes because it's one of the main problems that keeps go-go where it is. Go-go bands somehow have gotten this impression throughout the years that when you play out of town, you're supposed to get paid more money than you get paid in town. And now I understand where that comes from because it costs more to pay out of town. And you have to pay for flights, and you have to pay for, your travel or bus or whatever, hotel rooms. However, if you're talking to a person in Chicago or a person in California, you don't have a fan base there. So if I'm a promoter and basically what you're asking me to do is just give you $5,000 because nobody's going to show up to the show because they don't know who you are yet. You know what I mean? So in the rest of the music industry and every other genre of music, most artists lose money on their first 3 or 4 tours because it's a marketing expense where they know they have to go somewhere to be able to build that fan base up. And they're also creating records that are preceding them coming to play there. So they've got 2 things happening in the marketplace. They have records and they have the show, and neither one of those things makes any money at first. And then as you start to build it up, then it does. And then when you have more places to go and you continue building that up, then it happens. So what DC bands do, they just do all that in DC. And that's cool, but you still have to, if you want to go to Chicago, you got to do the same thing in Chicago. And somehow go-go bands have gotten this wrong impression that if I'm going to go to Chicago, somebody needs to pay me 2-3 times what I got paid to play in DC. And that's not how it works at all.
First, I would say that you have to take into consideration that majority of money in go-go for the bands, it comes from the shows. It's not like a typical artist where they get money from different lanes. All of the money is based on those fans that show up time after time after time again. So the misconception probably comes from, well, we do CIAA, we do Miami Takeover, we do a cruise here and there, and they paying us more. So that's where that mindset probably comes from. Well,
that's also because
we're going out of town, right?
I'm sorry.
That's where that perception probably comes from. Well, we're going out of town, we should be getting paid more, because when we do these different things that are out of town, it's always for a big event, and they typically get paid more. But it's slightly different when it comes to more so your goal is to establish yourself in different cities. So going to Georgia, we got a lot of people that migrated from here down south, North Carolina, Atlanta, even New Orleans. Like I remember when I played the bowl game, and we was playing Michigan, and I was playing at Virginia Tech, and we playing a bowl game New Year's night. I like come into my room before curfew. I'm chilling, and my roommate just turns the radio on, and like New Year's is about to come, so it's probably like a little before 12. And you know the person on the radio, we gonna bust loose into this new year with some Chuck Brown with Bustin' Loose, and I'm like what? And me and my roommate kind of look at each other like that's crazy, but you know, like just establishing yourself in different cities is necessary when you know what the goal is in mind.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, is that there has to be a goal. But the other thing also is that all of those things that you mentioned, CIAA, Miami Takeover, Puerto Rico, whatever, that's basically taking a group of people from DC to another place and putting them in front of the same band that they see in DC. That's different than going to, you know, Cleveland and playing for a bunch of people that live in Cleveland that don't have any idea what go-go is. So it's two totally different things. You're absolutely right. That's where the misconception comes in. But you know, logically, people just have to think that through and understand that, hey, if an artist from Cleveland that's hot in Cleveland, but you never heard of in DC, wants to come to DC and you're a promoter, are you going to pay them $5,000 in DC just because they're hot in Cleveland? No, because you lose your ass. You know what I mean? So you just flip the equation around and you'll understand why it works that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So speaking of the goal and understanding how that all fits into the goal, what's the definite? So for your project, not the Chuck Brown band, but for your specific project that you're working on, what would be your definition of success?
Not only finding my perfect group of people that I would cater to, but also like being able to venture out and establish those fan bases in different places. So like it don't take nothing to go 2 hours to Philly. It don't take nothing to go down North Carolina. And you know, just establishing myself in different places as well as here. I think also being able to do the things that people really don't want to do all the time. Like I'm young enough to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'll put the time in. So not only trying to get my stuff out there to the point where, you know, radio is loving it and you know, is getting a good response, but also I would say being able to put together a tight group to where I could do a tiny desk concert type of thing. I think that would not only help me establish myself, but also kind of create my own lane. Like I'm looking to, you know, not do what my dad did, but in a certain way, kind of do the same thing that he did, which is create my own lane. I'm looking to create my own lane, do a little something different with go-go, but at the same time, like keep it right in the pocket, keep it with home. And you know,
but the project is based around go-go though, right?
Yeah, it's definitely based around go-go because that's like, why not? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Go ain't nothing like go-go, man. Ain't nothing like go-go. So not only keeping it home, but also doing a little something different to put my own thing on it. I think being able to find that niche is what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, Wiley, listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on today, man. Is there anything else that you want to share or let people know about that you got coming up? Or
yeah, man, definitely be on the lookout. Chuck Brown Bang, our new song coming. That's gonna come first before my stuff. Also getting ready to do some more stuff with the foundation. So we're looking to do a go-go relief. And with the go-go relief, man, we're looking, you know, help out all those people that are in those bands that rely on that dollar from the fan that we're not getting right now.
Yeah.
So you know, definitely be on the lookout for that as well, man. So, you know, just more music to come, more new material, because that's something, you know, my father preached to every go-go band. Is like, yeah, you got your set, yeah, you do your certain cover songs. Of course, go-go started from top 40, but my father, he transitioned that into doing his own thing, and he mixed the two to the point where the cover songs, you don't even know that they cover songs because it sounds so much like my dad. So that is where it's at, man. Like finding your own thing within what you're doing. And once you create your own sound, you'll be able to get creative enough to, you know, make your own music. And I think Gogo is right on the verge, man. They're right on the verge. You know, it's like we're simmering, but we need to get the boiling. So
sorry,
there you go.
I don't have any information
there you go.
that.
I'm sorry, my Google Assistant thing is talking to me. Sorry about
that.
Hey man, listen, I appreciate you, and I don't just appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you being like watching and commenting and asking questions on almost all of these that I've done.
I'm doing my research, man. I got these I got my father old tapes over here with me that, you know, the stuff that he was working on, man. The same way that he kept his ears close to the ground. I'm trying to do the same thing, man. So I'll be looking at everything. Anything with Gogo, man. New bands, younger bands, I'm all on it.
I love it, man. I love it. And I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you sending me the music. And did you get the email that I sent you back?
Yeah, I got the email, man. But you know, I got a little tweaking to do, making sure it sounds just like DC, man.
So, yeah, no, there you go. That's what's up, man. Well, anytime, man. You know, I appreciate you, and thank you for your support, and thank you for coming on today. And you know, anything I could do to help, just let me know, man. I appreciate you.
Definitely, man. We definitely got to talk more offline, but I appreciate you for having me, man.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks, Wiley. Appreciate you.
Everybody stay safe out there, man. Stay safe.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. That was Wiley B, son of Chuck Brown, member of the Chuck Brown Band, and also he runs the Chuck Brown Foundation. He's also got his own solo project coming out, so make sure to check out for that. Sounds like the Chuck Brown Foundation. I didn't know that until today. It sounds like the foundation's got some good stuff coming out to try to help some of the bands in their time in need. Coming up on the replay, you will see over here a place to subscribe. So if you're watching now, also please subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the little bell icon up at the top, and that will alert you every time there's a new episode that comes up. I do these Wednesday through Friday. Tomorrow we have Frank Sirius, Scooby. In June, I'm going to start I've been doing them Tuesday through Friday, but in June, I'm going to start doing them from Wednesday through Friday because it's a lot more work than I had anticipated. Over here, you'll be able to check out some of the upcoming upcoming shows or other shows. The past shows. So thank you again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Check out GOGOTIX.co, and also please check out GOGOTIX.co/GoGoTees /shop. That is where you can find the Gogo Tees. That's the way that you can help support this show and what we're working on. So thank you very much to everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.